So Donald Trump was in Chicago yesterday, and he was speaking to a crowd of Black journalists or who were there to attend an event. At the and let me just make sure I get this done properly. The National Association of Black Journalists, and it was done at the Hilton in Chicago on South Michigan Avenue, a very swanky place. And many people in corporate media across the spectrum are saying Trump had a meltdown and Trump walked into a trap. Others are saying Trump correctly called out Kamala Harris. I look at this as 50-50. It's still too early to decide how this election will turn out. But this whole event has exploded. And of course, one of my concerns is that the main issue at hand that a lot of Americans are concerned about, the economy, is going to be replaced with identity politics. Now, I understand identity politics means a lot to a lot of people. However, the front and center issue will always be the economy. And unfortunately, I think Trump quite as well might have walked into a trap here in the Windy City. And I say this because this was brought up on Due Dissidence, which I co-hosted on Monday. So I want to first pull up this 5-minute clip. I won't be playing all of it, but Keaton brings up an important point about what was going to happen if Trump and the Republicans were going to fall into the identity trap that the Democrats are masters at playing at.
Okay, so, I had a gut feeling that Biden was not going to be the nominee, and I made that gut feeling known in my prediction last year. And I have a very strong gut feeling now that actually this is some 4D chess being played by the Democrats in their campaign. I think the Democrats are baiting the Republicans to attack Kamala on culture war shit because they know they cannot win the election on issues. That's just the math. The top two issues on voters' minds are inflation, immigration. If the Republicans run on that, they basically can't lose. The Democrats basically can't win. So they put out there, hey, Trump and Vance are weird, knowing that they're going to create the memes of Pete Buttigieg with the fake breasts and the milking his, breastfeeding his kid, whatever. Like they know that the Republicans are not going to be able to resist the urge to troll them back and say, oh, here's all the ways in which libs are weird. Aren't these blue-haired libs cringe? Same thing, white dudes for Harris. They know that's cringe. The Democrats are like throwing a fish out on the line. Yeah, that's cringe, isn't it? That's cringe. Isn't that cringe? Come on, say it's cringe. Say it's cringe. Make fun of us. Make fun of us. Anything to make the election not about the Biden-Harris record gives Democrats a better chance because the Republicans are not popular on these culture war things, because if you take it into the realm of culture, the Democrats have right in their back pocket. It took them 2 seconds to play this card on Vance. You spoke favorably of a national abortion ban. You're against IVF. Iowa just banned abortion past 6 weeks. So the Democrats want the Republicans to attack Kamala for her promiscuity. They want the right-wing media to call her a DEI hire. They want all that. Because that does not play well to normies. And I'm telling you, I can't say at this point that the Republicans will overreach and lose the election because ultimately.
Now, I want to stop here because it is an interesting point. And I'm seeing in the live stream chat right now, and I'm pretty sure I'll see in the comment section below, what did Trump say that wasn't true? I mean, let's face it. I had Caleb Malpin on just a few minutes ago on my show, in which he was going to detail about his book, where he is critical of both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. But Trump brought up, and of course, corporate media ran with it. There's a lot of people running with it, but I just want to pull up just a couple of articles here, just so that we can get an idea of overall how people reacted to this. Because when it comes down to identity politics, unfortunately, we have a media that can easily trigger and make people lose their ability to think critically. Now, here's at least a headline from Common Dreams. Racist Donald Trump says Kamala Harris happened to turn black. Then you have Harris slices Trump's national lead in half, new polling average, because it's with the aftermath of what Trump said. This is from Block Club Chicago. Trump falsely claims Kamala Harris happened to turn back at heated Chicago interview. And then, of course, you have the counter side. You have, again, the post-millennial masterclass. Trump effortlessly handles hostile questions at Black Journals Conference in Chicago. So let me just pull up these titles here. Apologies for that. Thought I had that up. So again, you see these titles up here. This is from Common Dreams. This is from The Hill. And of course, this is from Black Club Chicago. And then, of course, you have the Post Millennial. So you have this back and forth. And when you have this back and forth, the real issues are then cast aside. Now, was Trump ambushed? Was it a trap for Trump? Debatable. But don't worry. This election cycle is only getting started. We just started in August. Then we got a few more months, and then it's over. Anything can happen. But is this the end-all, be-all, death blow to Trump? No. Did Trump say anything new or anything shocking? No. This is who he's always been. He's never been this kind, wonderful, warm-hearted person. But let's go ahead and play this video up. Let's go ahead and push up this video of what started this whole thing off. It's always important to start from the beginning. Here was Donald Trump at the conference at the Hilton here in Chicago.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
He's not the first one to use language like that. I mean, look, Trump has a spotlight on him because he has, again, a long career in the media. He's always been involved in the media and involved in politics. So it comes as no shock to me that he was hypercharged and people are easily going to quote him. But, you know, there have been politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, that have said the same or if not worse things than Donald Trump. I know, shocking statement, but it is very real. Or either that, said some very shocking statements behind closed doors, only for a later tell-all book to come on out. Folks, Trump went into hostile territory. He knew he wasn't going to change people's minds, and people in my audience are saying that. He wasn't there to change anyone's minds. He was there for a press event in Chicago. He said his piece for 1 hour and then left. It's not a meltdown. If there's a meltdown, the person is screaming and throwing things and being unreasonable. But if someone's having a meltdown, that also means that they're losing their grasp on reality and they're losing their followers, relevance, or anything of that nature that made them secure. There was no meltdown. Was it a trap? I could say yes. Yes, it was. Is it going to end Trump? No. No, it won't. But it will cause people to start asking questions about who Kamala Harris is.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the Black population of this country. I've done so much for the Black population of this country.
And I also want to pull up this one right here. So this is the video in question that has really set things off and caused people to be triggered.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black. until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean,
Now, I want to pull up something here that's very interesting. This is from CNN. Let's time travel, my friends. Let's go back in time. Back in time, where CNN does some coverage on Kamala Harris.
My mother, who raised me and my sister, was a proud woman. She was a brown woman. She was a woman with a heavy accent.
And her mother, Shamla Gopalan, was also the biggest influence in Kamala Harris's life.
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe.
After the big announcement, Harris's sister wrote in a Twitter post, "You can't know who Kamala Harris is without knowing who our mother was." In 1958, a precaution.
I also like how CNN actually has an anchor who's Southeast Asian too, with a Southeast Asian accent, at least covering this story. Huh. Good thing the internet is a fantastic machine for time travel.
Just 19-year-old Indian, Gopalan traveled thousands of miles from her home and family to pursue a doctorate in nutrition and endocrinology in America. She soon became an active civil rights crusader while studying at UC Berkeley.
But once she went there, she almost felt free. And she took part in politics. She used to bring a whole series of literature, leftist literature from Karl Popper's, he was a great philosopher.
In her book, Harris says, "There is no title or honor on earth I'll treasure more than to say I am Shamla Gopalan Harris's daughter." Harris's visits to India with her mother kept her connected to her roots. Her grandfather, who had strong views on humanitarian issues, worked closely with officials to reallocate refugees.
What about her father? Oh, we can't talk about that, can we?
Their conversations had a strong influence on her.
Those walks along the beach in India really planted something in my mind and created a commitment in me before I even realized it that has led me to where I am today.
Harris's maternal uncle, Gopalan Balachandran, who lives in Delhi, tells us how the senator turns to her Amma, which means mother in Tamil, for guidance even after her death.
I don't have to tell her, make your mother proud. She said, what are you telling me? Everything that I do, I ask myself, would Amma approve of this?
Hey, boy, oh boy. No, knowing some things and stories, and I'm seeing it be even brought up in the live stream chat. No, knowing something, I don't know if she would approve of everything. Maybe some things, a lot of things. Who knows? I'll let you decide. The audience. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. I'm not going to let you vote. Hey, free range choice, like free range kitchen, chickens and cattle. Hey, make your own choice. Horrible choice of words.
Kamala in Hindi means lotus flower and is an important symbol in Indian culture, rooted deep in the bottom of the river. Very similar to Harris's Indian...
I'm sorry, I got to read this. Prim 54. So her mom raised her to want to lock up black people and keep nonviolent prisoners in jail. Well, Prim 54, it's not a wrong answer. It's a response. It is a statement. And you know something? You hit the nail on the head, buddy. That's what you're doing. But somehow, listen. On the off chance we got some Trump supporters watching, Kamala Harris ain't no communist. I've interviewed and spoke to my fair share of communists. Kamala ain't one of them, okay? She's a neoliberal politician, okay? That is what she is.
Identity which she wears on her sleeve. There's no doubt that the primary source of learning for Senator Harris was from her mother's experiences and the conversations that she had with her maternal grandfather when she visited India, which was very often accompanying her mother, or when the grandparents would visit them in America. Back to you, Rosemary.
Now, I want to pull up the rest of this showdown in Chicago because there's many people saying that Trump stormed off the stage, but let's just face it, folks. Corporate media wants to make everything sensational, electric. I mean, that's what corporate media is designed for. It's not designed to keep you informed. It's designed to keep you in the dark. Now, this interview is supposed to be for an hour, but due to technical difficulties, which, let's face it, ABC, you have the budget to avoid technical difficulties, but hey, anything can happen. I know firsthand doing video and audio work, but if we can make it past technical difficulties, ABC, this should be a walk in the park. But I want to pull up the rest of this because, again, this is just an ongoing attack. It's something that Trump is used to. Is this going to destroy the Trump campaign? No, it won't. Did they walk into a trap? Yes. Was there better ways in which Trump could have handled this? Absolutely. But this isn't the end of Trump. He's going to go all the way to the finish line. Whether he wins or not, all depends on who could be very enthusiastic and reasonable, and dare I say it, and more engaging to their voting base.
Barack Obama saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the Black population of this country. I've done so much for the Black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for Black workers and Black entrepreneurs. I've done so much. And, and I say this, historically, Black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well,
now I just want to say here, all right, it's because it's easy to vilify Trump. And let's face it, Trump could have worded things a lot better. But again, Trump is Trump. Asking him to change now is no, you're just not going to do it. No, it's impossible. However, this is something that corporate media is ignoring. Was Kamala Harris or Biden invited to this event? Were they supposed to show up? You can't do it on Zoom. You can't do this. You can't do that. It almost feels like this was a trap. And the thing is, well, you never put Trump in a trap. We've learned that firsthand many times, and he's always going to find a way to get out of it, be it through his own calm means, which calm asterisks, or use with that. He's just going to fight his way out. Expecting him to be reasonable, especially as soon as you start going after him, that's not going to happen. So what we have to take away from this is that when you automatically start being hostile towards a person, this goes for anyone, it is in their right to be hostile back in return. This isn't the end of Trump. Yes, there might be some polling showing, oh no, Kamala's in favor. But again, all polling, and even if it's polling I agree with, you always have to remember it's only a select group of people that are being polled. What's going to matter at the end of the day is voter turnout. On election night, which one of these two candidates, and that also includes the independent candidates, are going to bring out most of the voters to support their cause. That is the key word. And the Democrats better hope that they orchestrate a near perfect convention for Kamala Harris. Because right now, everything's going to matter. But Trump brings up a good point. Where was his opponent? Should Kamala Harris have been there? It's something that should have been done. Will there be a debate? Well, that's up in the air as well.
Where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights
And
Act.
for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I really do.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here.
Yes, so again, they should have been asking more about policy, but it's easy to go after identity politics. And yes, to be clear here, Keaton was proven correct. Trump just gave the Democrats and the liberals a lot of political ammunition, but that should come as no surprise. They already should have had that ammunition already. I mean, we've seen it before in 2016, in 2020, and now here in 2024. Trump's a racist. He's a bigot. He's a sexist. I have heard this before. But the thing is, policy is what's always going to matter. Policy will always supersede the identity talking points. And you know what I find shocking? A lot of Democrats and Republicans, even long before Trump became this mainstream thing, were voting on policies that were universally the same: mass incarceration, ignoring our crumbling infrastructure, supporting wars, bailing out Wall Street and the big banks. It's one can only wonder why we don't really talk about policy, because, oh, wait, the same people who own our politicians also control our media. We have to watch and listen to the news in order to shift through the lies. I want to pull up another video here where, well, his age is brought up because people now want to talk about age all of a sudden. Remember when way early on in 2024 in January, when people were talking about Biden's age and how old he was, and corporate media was doing their infamous Greek phalanx shield wall? Yeah, turns out, hey, you couldn't talk about it back then, but now it's A-okay to talk about it now.
If you win, you'll still be president at 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot.
Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would?
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh my goodness.
All right, hey, look, this is a little crazy, but this is a little funny. I said I wanted this election cycle to be entertaining. And you know what? It is not disappointing, and I love every single minute of it.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir.
You said you would. You would.
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them. I think we should.
And again, Torwin, hey, look, I know a lot of you, my viewing audience, saw when I co-hosted Do Dissidents, and we did talk about, the potential trap that Trump was walking into. We did talk about it. And the thing is, I remember even saying on the show, hey, Trump, and off chance Donald Trump is watching this, or a diehard Trump supporter, or somebody with the Trump campaign is watching this, here's some free advice. Look at Kamala's record. Go after her there. I mean, you have not just a treasure chest of political ammunition, you have a whole vault in deep, no pullout, of so much stuff in which you could have hit Kamala Harris with. Now, if there's going to be a debate, maybe he's keeping that in reserve. But if anything, his advisors, yes, Torwin is right. His advisors should have sat him down and be like, hey, look, I think we're walking in a trap here, buddy. But then again, Torwin and everyone else that's watching, Trump is on Operation OFP, Own Effing Program. You can quote that. That's a Hard Lens Media creation, OFP. get to know me. I'm the new MVP.
Should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in.
To interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test
Mr. President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it.
it public?
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again. Let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President, are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the fact.
to be clear, you don't think
I'm
Harris?
just
How do
giving
you
you the
intend
fact. She didn't pass her.
You know, again, in many ways, he should have been a little bit more prepared for this. But then again, he dealt with a 3-on-1 fight. He did an okay job. Not the best. And this will probably be in the week headlines of, oh, look how racist or bigoted or sexist Trump is. That doesn't matter. I've seen this before. Is that all you have? Voter turnout's going to be key. And let's face it, folks, Trump is still riding the wave of, first of all, that disastrous debate that Biden did. The fact that the media and the Democrats were hiding Biden's cognitive decline, even though we've all been calling it out. We've all saw it. I mean, come on, corporate media. You really didn't think anybody was paying attention? I know how little you think of us, but come on, for Christ's sakes. Number 3, there was Biden's big boy press event in which he absolutely was acting like a drooling clown. And then finally, of course, the unfortunate situation that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, which that iconic photo, that's not going away.
Bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it.
She did pass it.
There's a
She
man
did-
over
she
here.
did
I
in
think
fact
he
pass it.
must work.
Mr. President, I would
Now, I want to pull up another video as well, because this is also gaining a lot of traction. Because happening in my own backyard, the great Windy City, city of Chicago. But there's going to be the DNC convention here as well. And this is where I could see this entire town hall being capitalized on. And I'm just bracing myself for it to be brought up as soon as Kamala is earns, air quote, as the nominee, air quote. Somehow, no primary, but she becomes the nominee. Isn't that interesting? Democracy at work.
about January 6th.
And yes, they don't ask policy. They talk about January 6th. January 6th, the day when Julius Caesar crossed the Potomac. Oh, wait, no, wait, that didn't happen. The day when a bunch of people were let in by the Capitol Police. No one wants to talk about that, do they?
You've called yourself the candidate of law and order.
Yeah.
When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones.
Torwind, I'm going to read your quote. That's something powerful. Hey, Trump, I know you're a secret fan of Hard Lens Media, but listen, listen to what my audience says. They're more on point than your advisors. The second they called him racist, all he had to do was say, well, I didn't keep black men in prison for slave labor. I helped get them out of prison instead of calling them nasty, blah, 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 blah. Yep, Trump is going to be Trump. But Torwin, that's what you call a home run homer. That's right. I pay attention to the live stream chat.
At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially on the limestone. It will never. I'm a builder. I know about this.
Trump, hold on. Undue dissidence. You know what we talked about? How construction crews, before you ever became president of these United States, how construction crews said, no, you don't want to work for Trump. Because word gets out. New York City might be a big metropolitan city, and it is, just like Chicago. However, there are small communities there, such as workers' unions, construction groups, film and production groups. And that's what you call a small community. And in a small community, word gets out fast. Just like in a small town, In a big city, word gets out fast. I want to read a quote from Dean Grant. There's no bigger anti-black career politician than Joe Biden. Full stop. That's right, Dean. Because, Dean, no one ever talks about how Joe Biden was that main architect, that guy who was working behind the scenes. You know, he was that secret writer that a lot of novelists have. You know, I hate to tell this to you folks, but a lot of your favorite authors do have writers who write their books for them because, you know, hey, why do it yourself? Joe Biden wrote the crime bill. Even Bill Clinton somewhat sort of kind of apologized for it. That's not saying much. Joe Biden, he looks at it with pride and gives that creepy old man smile to it.
Stuff. You'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to
those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people
sir, we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Oh, really? Well,
you would pardon those rioters?
Torwin, there are copies of correspondence between Strom Thurmond. Whoa, who is that guy? And don't ever ask him about his extramarital affairs. Ha ha ha! Strom, you dirty bastard. Thanking Biden for fighting segregation with him. That's right, because people, Kamala, and everybody forget Joe Biden was against the civil rights movement. He was against busing and desegregation. Everyone forgets that Joe Biden didn't want his white kids to be with black kids. Ooh la la. Goodness gracious, cretaceous. Heaven forbid. And listen. Hold on. I'm going to let you all in a little secret. There's this organization, right? There's 3 letters in it. KKK. You're not going to believe what political party they originated in. This might blow your mind. Please don't panic. Everyone be calm. Just calm down. But they originated in the Democratic Party. I know. Calm down. Just please breathe in, breathe out. And if you share this news to a liberal, they might rage out at you. It's okay. Sometimes facts can hurt people's feelings. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's continue on with the rest of the video.
He shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in Minneapolis. You know, people died in Minneapolis. And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life, but you have people from Minneapolis. You have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C. They were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying. They were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them. And you can't have 2 systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent. That's never happened in our country before. And it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you?
Yes, of course. Now, they're not asking about policy. Now, again, this interview is supposed to be for an hour, but as more stories get out, again, right now the big front card title is, oh, Trump said these racist things. Trump was horrible to these 3 women on stage. Well, that's par for the course. That's who Trump is. All right. Like, why is everyone shocked by this? You know, in 2016, when Trump was running and everyone was shocked about how he was talking, it didn't come as a surprise to me. That's who Donald Trump is. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. Why are you shocked by this? It's because sensational titles get views, get eyeballs, gets people to buy the newspapers, the magazines, tune into radio, go online, click and retweet, post a heart on Instagram, all that kind of stuff, or use it at, if someone has time, sit down and watch cable news. I mean, that's how it's always been. A poppin' title gets everybody the views, the eyeballs, and people sit down in front of the big screen. That's just how it's been. So I just want to pull up this little video here. I'm not going to play it, but it's just going to just show it to all of you right here. This was when Mindy, I want to get her name right, Mindy Kaling, was with Kamala Harris. And they bring up in that video how Kamala's Indian. Boy, how'd that happen? How on earth did that happen? Goodness gracious, Cretaceous. But I do want to pull up something here as well. Just another thing so that everybody can see it. Because this was nearing the wrap-up of said town hall, conference, interview, call it what you will. Only about 11 seconds of it. Let's play it. Because this is where they say we got to wrap it up.
What do you do on day 1 if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do 2 things because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't.
Now, you do say let's wrap it up.
What do? I close the border.
Wrap up. One more time.
Thing.
What do? I close the border.
Wrap up. Hold on. One last time.
What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And
they talk about policy just for a little bit, but yeah, Trump closing the border. No surprise. Trump doing this. No surprise. It's no surprise. That's what he's going to do. He's going to, again, continue on with all of his other neoliberal policies that Democratic and Republican politicians will vote for. Yes, you heard me right. Democrat and Republican politicians will vote for. This whole thing, at the end of the day, one can argue it was a trap. On the other hand, altogether, don't worry, folks. We're only on the first day of August. Something else will capture our attention. Doesn't that come as a surprise? Just like on July 13th, somebody tried to take down Trump's life, and now we're moving on. It goes back to my theory that, and we all know that Congress did that whole conference with UFOs and aliens. But how quick do people forget that? Like, watch, if Congress or Joe Biden was to go out right now with an alien from Alpha Centauri Prime, and he's right there and he's waving, I'm willing to bet within 1 month, people will forget that. People will forget it. Yes, it could be an earth-shattering moment, but knowing how everything sucks and the whole world sucks, man, people are going to forget. How easy people will forget. Don't worry, this will be forgotten too. We're only in August. Then there's September, October, and then finally this nightmare is over. November is election night, and we move on. Like we should. Is Trump any of these things? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But there's still an election that's going to happen. And right now, I'm beginning to see something else happen, and that is the evaporation of the honeymoon hypnotism that corporate media and the Democrats are trying to put upon the American people. Now, people can be tricked. People can forget. It's very easy for that. But voter turnout and enthusiasm is still key. If the Democrats think that, oh, now people are placated that Biden is gone, once people remember who Kamala Harris is, they'll move on. This is the same Kamala Harris that did abysmal during the primary. They're hoping that nobody looks into her history. But as soon as people do, that popularity that she has right now could very well evaporate. We're only in August, folks, and things will get interesting, especially in Chicago between August 19th to the 22nd. Let's see how this DNC convention turns out. Hardlands Media will be there.